Do you like scary stories? Welcome to Reality versus Fantasy. Is it real or fake? My name is Ronnie Nichelle, and I'm here to tell you two bone-chilling stories, one real and one fake. Then you get to guess which story is real or fake at the end of the show. So get comfy, put on some comfortable clothes, and snuggle up. During this episode, I'll be wearing a low bodysuit top from Poshmark and art class shorts from Target. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for new video posts. You ready? Our first story consists of a monster who almost resembles a human but isn't quite human. This story is called The Mystery of the Enfield Monster. One night in 1973, two young McDaniel children of Enfield, Illinois, claimed to have seen a weird beast lurking in their yard and trying to get into the house. Dad, something's trying to get into the house. It looks like a monster. Father Henry chalked their creepy story up to the active imagination of childhood. Man, cut the crap and go play, kids. However, he changed his mind later that night. After being awakened by strange scratching sounds, McDaniel grabbed a gun and a flashlight and peered outside his front door. Between two rose bushes, he saw a creature that was almost like a human body, just as his kids had described. It had 3 legs on it, a short body, 2 little short arms, and 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights, he recounted to a reporter. McDaniel said he fired 4 shots and was sure he hit the creature at least once, causing it to make a hiss much like a wildcat before it ran off towards a railway embankment. McDaniels was stunned when he saw the monstrous beast jump 80 feet before quickly running out of sight. The police found scratches on the door screen as well as footprints in the dirt near the McDaniels' home that looked dog-like with 6 toe pads. Yet no clues pointed out to an unusual beast. McDaniel's sightings made the reading eagle, but it was clear people didn't believe it was true. It didn't help that a 10-year-old neighbor faked his own eyewitness account of the beast, only to later admit that his testimony was a prank against the McDaniels family. McDaniel reported 2 more sightings of the alleged beast to local cops, but they said they'll eventually threaten him with jail time because nobody believed what he had saw was true. But McDaniel was adamant and stood by his story, his scary story. If they do find it, McDaniel said in an interview, they will find more than one and they won't be from this planet. I can tell you that. After McDaniel's public testimony about the Enfield monster, other eyewitness claims began to surface. Monster hunters swarmed the town, and at least 5 men were arrested after firing shots in the area, claiming to have photographed the beast. Till this day, no explanation has been uncovered for this small town creepy story. Did this story really happen? Or is it a figment of a child's imagination? If so, how do you explain the father eventually seeing the monster after not believing his boys the first time? Also, how do you explain the many other sightings of the monster in their town? Stay tuned. Japan's technology has surpassed any other country in the world, and Brian was grateful to have been able to experience it. However, he had a fear of self-driving vehicles for some reason. And I think this story sums up why in The Car That Ate Your Brain. Brian always had an uneasy feeling about self-driving vehicles, but wanted to experience riding in one while visiting Japan. However, riding in one alone, especially for the first time, wasn't the best idea. The translucent egg-shaped shuttle glided silently to the curb. A bright light flashed Brian's face, causing his vision to blur, and a second later, a woman's gentle voice said, "Welcome aboard, Brian." He stepped inside, looking around. He didn't see anyone, so he blew it off and just sat down. There were several bottles of water next to a box of Kind bars and some succulents. Smooth jazz oozed from hidden speakers, but the shuttle stayed stationary and his phone was dead all of a sudden. A black rectangular void. The company's shuttle were essentially rolling Faraday cages, no wireless service allowed. The cages had to be for what came next. The mood lighting suddenly shifted to a spastic woozy display of bright neon pinks, blues, and greens as an advertisement for the latest energy drink consumed the shuttle's interior. All trips via the company shuttles this month were subsidized by the energy drink. That's why they were so cheap. Next month would be underwritten by a dandruff shampoo, and the month after that, the U.S. Army. The ad was way louder than it needed to be. The bright, flashing staccato lights were starting to make Brian's eyes burn. He remembered a time when you could skip after 5 seconds, and he remembered being able to opt out. Finally, the shuttle began to drive. It knew where Brian was going because it had all of his metadata, including his search history. Over the course of the trip, he was bombarded with targeted ad after targeted ad. The shuttle's AR windshield became a tapestry of wish fulfillment images of Brian's face on a more sculpted body in an ad for a bar class, and an image of Brian with a beautiful woman purring about a dating app. Did Brian know there was available real estate in this neighborhood that was within his price range? No. Brian's phone was still bricked. Rolling his eyes, he tried shutting his eyes, but infrared sensors picked up on that and the shuttle slowed to a crawl. Those ads were mandatory viewing. Opening his eyes again, Brian was startled by the sudden appearance of a hologram of his dead mother on the armrest. Brian let out a slight scream before hearing his dead mother say, "Don't forget to buy life insurance, darling." She wailed, her face frozen in anguish. He couldn't believe the shuttle was using a funeral home photo plucked from his cloud as a reference for the hologram. He could tell because his mother never in her life worn that candy apple pink blush the mortician applied. The algorithm of the shuttle was primed to look for an old photo, but of course the funeral home photo counted as old. He flinched as her tiny translucent hand reached for his. "Was I dreaming or was it getting colder?" he said. 15 minutes saves you 15%, his mother moaned. He cringed in fear. Brian's dead mother stayed with him until the end of the ride, imploring him to buy life insurance, Yankee candles, and a new air freshener. Finally, the ride concluded and his mother morphed back into her reference photo before vanishing. He felt cold and wanted to step into the sun, but the shuttle door remained closed and locked, trapping him inside. 3 more ads in exchange for his freedom. Brian rolled his eyes again. The techno music began to peak, building and building and building. They were cramming in as many images as possible. It became unreadable and blurry, but the tempo kept ascending. Brian felt dizzy, nauseous, near death. In despair, he waited for the beat to drop. He implored to screaming at the flashing screams, begging for relief, but it never came. Screaming, "Let me out, let me the fuck out," still nothing. He knew he'd never get out if he didn't give them what they wanted, which felt like his soul. Screaming again, "Let me out, please. I feel like my brain is being eaten alive. I can't take anymore, please." Then all of a sudden, Brian heard a soft voice again. "Your stop." The doors open. Believe it or not, he was actually at his destination. Brian ran off that shuttle so fast, not realizing he had left his dead cell phone in it. He didn't go back to get his phone. When he said, "They can have it." That experience was a nightmare Brian would never forget. Do you think this story is real? Can self-driving cars have that much power over the mind? Maybe. And now the moment we've all been waiting for, the question of which story is real or fake. Here goes. Let's start with story number 1, the mystery of the Enfield monster. If you've guessed the story was real, you're right, it really happened. How about story number 2, the car that ate your brain? Did these events really take place? Nah, It was straight fiction, as you can tell. Listening to horror stories isn't for the weak. Whether the story is real or not, that creepy feeling you get when reading or hearing something scary makes us question everything we think we know. This concludes our episode. Thank you for tuning in. I truly appreciate your support. If you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Reality versus fantasy, is it real or fake? Bye.